Right now, when the world is battling one of the most horrific pandemics, COVID-19, the one thing that can save us in the near future is vaccination. There are a lot of vaccines available around the world. We will talk about Covishield, the most used vaccine in India. Covishield is the product of University of Oxford and company AstraZeneca. If you are still not sure about getting vaccinated, you need to watch this video as it will show how Covishield vaccine works. Our human body is made up of nearly 37.2 trillion cells. Once COVID-19 virus enters our body, its only aim is to enter the cells of our body. But coronavirus cannot enter the cells in our body just like that. Each cell of our body has a CA2 receptors, which look like tridents or spiky things. Coronavirus is peculiar because of the presence of spike proteins on it. These spike proteins get attached to the ACA2 receptors and then enter the cell. Once inside the cell, they can wreak havoc. Coronavirus contains genetic material, and this genetic material stores the instructions to make millions of copies of its own. The only way to safeguard each cell of your body is to block the spike proteins of the coronavirus. It can be done if we succeed in attaching antibodies to these spike proteins. Once these antibodies get attached to the spike proteins of the virus, it will not be able to enter the cells of our body and thus will be incapable of infecting our body and making millions of copies of its own. Coming back to Covishield, it basically contains another virus called Adenovirus, which is a harmless virus which mostly causes common cold. In the vaccine, a modified version of adenovirus which has lost its ability to multiply is used. So, it can enter the cells but it cannot multiply. The genome which produces the spike protein is integrated with the genome of the adenovirus by gene sequencing. So, if this adenovirus is injected in the body, spike protein can be produced in the body itself. Now when you get a jab of the Covishield vaccine, this adenovirus goes and attacks a healthy cell of your body and enters it. Once it is inside our cell, it inserts its genome inside the nucleus of our cell. Once the DNA is inserted into the nucleus, this DNA is transcribed into messenger RNA or mRNA. The most important function of the mRNA is that it decides which protein is needed to be produced by the body in different conditions. These mRNA then instruct ribosomes to produce spike proteins. Once these spike proteins are produced in the cell, some of these starts appearing on the outside of the cell wall, and when this cell dies, these spike proteins are released in the vicinity. The spikes which are released by the cell are then recognized by another cell group called macrophages. Spike proteins are engulfed by them. These macrophages then present these spikes to other cells called helper T cells. Therefore, macrophages are also called antigen-presenting cells. Meanwhile, the cells that developed spikes on them also start sending signals to other cells, like B cells. This way, these helper T cells and B cells get the signal that there is an outside attack, so they need to be prepared. The helper T cells, as the name suggests, send the signals to the B cell, and activate them further. As a result, these B cells start maturing and proliferating, causing the formation of the plasma cells, which ultimately secretes antibodies against these spike proteins. In addition to B cells, our body has killer T cells. The helper T cells also pass on the information or the signal of an outside attack to the killer T cells, and these cells start killing the infected cells. Our body has a mechanism that once the helper T cell activates the B cell and killer T cell, they create a memory of it. Memory B cells and memory T cells holds that memory within. When the body is exposed to the same antigen next time, the body can respond faster and in enhanced scale. Antibodies are produced again in much more quantity because of the memory cells, and the spike proteins of coronavirus is neutralized instantaneously. If you understand how a vaccine changes everything inside your body to build a wall against the coronavirus, you will not be hesitant about taking the vaccine.